Clagging Steam 2 starts where Volume 1 left off, on Freshfield Bank, but this time featuring a photo charter from October 2007 with a pair of southern spammers, 007 and 081. Here's some more tenders, but with a mix of origins. Starting with Lancashire and Yorkshire 2F number 957 at Ingro on the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway. Schools Class Repton at Green End on the Moors from December 2003. Further along the Esk Valley, J27 2392 slogs towards Goathland 2 months earlier. Meanwhile, on the West Somerset, the 2004 transformation of 9351 from 5151 class 262 tank 5193 pulls away from Crocombe. Stania 260 at Keighley, 42968, paying a visit to the line in February 2006. A Somerset and Dorset 7F, formerly BR number 53808 at Bicknoller on the West Somerset in March 2007. Green Arrow heads for Scarborough at Strensall near York the same year. This is a bit of a rare one, a 1921 upgrading of the LNW 7F 060, 49395, the first of 60 departing from Loughborough. The miraculously resurrected Crab, 42765 at Burrs on the East Lancs Railway in 1998. There used to be 245 of these. Mansell's U class takes to the main line in January 99 with matching stock. 31625 near Albury, near Guildford. The LNER D49 246 finally strayed away from Scotland in September 2008 with this visit to the Embsay Railway. Astania 8F, a little off the beaten track, departing from Bristol Temple Meads in May 1998. But no sign of the Titfield Thunderbolt in the fish dock. We like the first one so much, here's another S&D 7F, 53809 this time, at Green End on the Moors in 2006. 3802, a Collet version of the 2800 class, does some double rounding at Nethercott on the West Somerset in 2007. (42968) again, this time back on the WSR at Churchland. LNER K4 of the Great Marquis, demonstrating the beat of all three cylinders at Darnholm on the Moors in 2007. Green Arrow again, this time slipping and sliding on the climb at Tigley in April 1999. City of Truro allegedly topped 100 miles an hour descending from Whiteball in 1904. Here it is at the same spot 100 years later, in slightly more sedate fashion. Repton pays a return visit to home turf in September 2007. The climb out of Alresford on the Mid-Hants. To round off the mixed tender review, LNER K1 62005 at Moorgates after setting off from Goathland, Pickering bound in 2007. Two miles at 1 in 38 is a stiff enough test for a diesel loco, let alone the steam fleet. So here's a few successful but claggy attempts on the Lickey bank, starting with 8F 48773 unaided in January 1999. A few people turned out for this one. The slightly unusual pairing of 4300 class 7325 and LMS class 5 2968. 2 decades separate the designs and the firing techniques perhaps. Leander goes up next on a return charter to Tyseley from Cardiff in March 2006. Rude Ashton Hall appears to have its work cut out in this October 2001 attempt. Until you spot the pannier tank 7760 shoving away at the back. The practice run for the shot you saw earlier, 2968 and 7325 paired up in November 1997. The locos are reversed. Great Western 460s have a habit of hunting in packs on steam charters. Here's Kinlet Hall and Rood Ashton Hall trying their luck on the Lickey with the City Express in April 2002, heading for Nuneaton. After a number of delays, 70013 Oliver Cromwell finally made it back onto the main line in the summer of 2008. After ticking off the rerun of the 15 Guinea Special, the Loco tackled 2 return runs over its old Great Eastern stamping ground in September. Here's the second at Belstead Bank on the 20th, heading back from Norwich to Liverpool Street. No clagging steam programme would be complete without several shots of the hooligan Duke of Gloucester. Here it is at Upper Denton in typically spirited fashion. No more sedately, Standard Class 5 73096 belts through Potteridge with the Sunny South Express of May 2004, while heading for Weymouth. Meanwhile on the moors, the Class 4 260 version passes Darnholme, 76079, October 2003. A Brighton tank in the Esk Valley 2 months later, 80135, far from proper territory if you're a Southern fan. Green End on the moors, looking very green, as Standard 4 75029 struggles to gain height. Coming up, Cromwell again, this time with one of its early workings, the Scarborough Spa Express, soon after setting out from York on the 12th of August 2008. 9F 92212 in search of a train at Bishop Sutton on the Mid-Hants Railway in February 2003. Very industrial. Ah, another Brighton tank. 80098, getting to grips at Stoneycombe in April 2000. And 92212 again, at Bishop Sutton again, after finding a train. The tangled track of Guildford gives up 73096 as it heads onto the Reading line in February 1998. This isn't a proper Southern Class 5 of course, otherwise it would have a King Arthur name. .80135 crops up again, this time at Thomas and Foss during the same Christmas on the Moors you saw earlier. .76079 puts in its second appearance at Raindale in October 2003, but more clag and more speed this time. Not Purley in Surrey, but Purley on Thames, as 80079 and 098 check out Brunel's Broad Railway in May 1999. The Duke beats up Durham with day one of the North Britain Charter from April 2008. Four days later, that's day 5 obviously, 71,000 hurtles back along the East Coast Main Line after sharing the work with a pair of A4s. Oliver Cromwell does cathedrals too. Here's one heading back from Norwich at Hatfield Peveril. The exceptionally claggy Tangmere approaches Hook at speed with the Royal Wessex Charter of June 2005. Weymouth to Victoria return. Tor Valley does much the same at Winchfield in August 1998, before its mainline career came to an end. bridges of Winchester braced themselves for the passing of Tangmere in September 2005. The Christmas Statesman's Circular. Mainline putting out something on the VSOE. This is Ruscombe in 1999. Don't the smoke deflectors work well? Tangmere picks up Pullmans at Micheldever in October 2006, a special working to Southampton Eastern Docks. Tor Valley as Osprey St Mary, roaring through Andover with a Salisbury Cathedrals Express in April 2005. Double rounding at Harbury for Tangmere with the Excalibur Express from Derby to Paddington, March 2003. And finally, not Tor Valley masquerading again, but the genuine Bodmin during its short-lived mainline career of 2000, running through Deepcut. We start with a Ginty, because frankly it would be rude not to. 47279 pulls away from Keighley in December 2001. Lurching south and west, we come across 6619 at Dunster, restarting after an emergency stop because of a tractor unexpectedly crossing the line. Could have been nasty. LNER N7 69621, once a Lowestoft engine according to my notes, departs from Levisham on the moors in May 2007. Great Western at Great Central. 5100 class 4141 barks out of Quorn in 2007. Lambton Tank, number 29 in the Esk Valley in October 2002, putting out more stuff than its size suggests is possible. The Middleton Railway stained brickwork disgorges 1366 class 1369, one of only 6 built in 1934. The tunnel at Mytholms, or Mythams or something, frames LMS 2MT 41241 in February 2004. An auto tank tries its luck on the Dawlish Donkey. 1450, April 1998. The repatriated M7 30053 crosses Corfe Common on the Swanage Railway in July 2007. Former NCB loco 140 on a Bolton Abbey to Embsay working in December 2006. This Huntwell Clark 060 was built in 1948. .4500 class Prairie tank 5553 rounds Roebuck Curve on the West Somerset in March 2005. And here's another one, 5542 at Castle Hill a few days later. The 5205 class 280 is slightly meatier. Here's 5224 at Bicknoller in March 2003. Robert Stevenson and Hawthorne 7409 of 1948 is known as Sir Cecil A. Cochrane these days. Here it is at East Tanfield. Well, this is Jessie, a Hunslet product of 1937, visiting Embsay from the Airedale Railway in 2007. Meanwhile, back at the West Somerset, 5700 class Pannier 5786 whispers around the curve at Blue Anchor. arrive at Class 2 Prairie, 41241 passes Damon's Loop while en route to Oxenhope in 2005. And finally, tank-wise, the Ministry of Supply saddle variety, J94 68009, or at least the boiler from it, soots up the signal box at Bolton Abbey in December 2006. Now this seems a little excessive. When the steam clears, you will see Standard 5 73096 and West Country 34007 departing from Ropley over what was once known as the Alps. With banking assistance from Bodmin. Oh well, I suppose it saves all that tedious running round at the other end. Coming up, Great Western 460s in a pack again. The Halls of Kinlet and Rood Ashton in Harbury Cutting in 2001. Holywell halt on the Embsay Railway, approached by a pair of J94s in 2006, 009 and 005. Another Great Western duo, this time Castles 5029 and 5051 with the Cornubian 2 charter of May 2004. Passing Coombe Fishacre, apparently. The Bluebell Railway photo charter you saw at the beginning has moved on to Halstead Canes, whence from it now departs. The purists amongst you will immediately notice the rebuilt and unrebuilt tender styles. City of Truro and 4500 class 5553 depart from Minehead in October 2007. Oh no, surely not. You don't double-head these. Bittern checks out the Moors line at Darnholm in 2008. with standard 4, 75029 tied on the back. Oh well, I guess it's a double of sorts. This is Rhineshaw number 6 and number 49, a very lively Hudswell Clark and RSH pairing on the Tanfield Railway in 2006. Oh, the two halls again, what a surprise. This is the Halls to Newport Charter of September 2006, attacking the Lickey. Repton pairs up with 75029 on the moors in 2007. T57 rounds the curve at Armathwaite on the 10th of August 2008 with 45407 and 45231 frightening the livestock. Castle and King at Whiteball in March 2007. The Royal Duchy, Earl Bathurst and King Edward I. The ill-fated Somerset and Dorset rail tour of March 2006. This is 76079 running as 009 and Tangmere. Almost, but not quite, reaching the top of the bank at Exeter Central. Eventually they had to drift back down to St David's where the train was terminated. So near, and yet so far. I always think the Kings should be in the Pacific section, but there you go, not enough wheels. King Edward I at Hatton in November 1998. B1 61264 on Hummonby Bank in March 2004 with the Yorkshire Terrier Charter, before it failed at Driffield with leaking tubes. Lord Nelson picks up the post at Quorn on the Great Central. Black 5, 45337 working hard at Beck Hole on the moors in October 2002. 7802 Bradley Manor gets to grips with Whiteball on the returning Torbay Express charter from Kingswear to Bristol in August 2003. The solitary King Arthur 30777 beating up the track at Langworthby in 2008. Perhaps working just as hard but at much lower speed, 45212 pulls away from Keighley in March 2003. Kinlet Hall, taking a break from mainline action on the West Somerset, appears from the trees at Trebles Holford in March 2005. S15825 provides a familiar face to Repton on the Moors. Here it is in the Esk Valley in 2007. Andover Junction appears again, this time enjoying a royal visit from 6024 in November 1999. .61264 again, not leaking, at Darnholme in 2007. Sir Lamiel approaches Hook with a Cathedrals Express in October 2007. .45407 looking slightly out of place under the wires at Scout Green in 2007. Lord Nelson destroys the air quality of Virginia Water in May 2007 with the Dorset Coast Express from London Victoria to Weymouth. .5029 has another crack at Whiteball while heading for Swansea with the X-Tour Express of February 2003. Tigley again, this time with the Devonian from Paddington to Plymouth and 6024 in charge, 2005. Snaygill Farm on the S&C is the setting for this one, the Settle Carlisle Venturer, Scots Guardsman's first charter outing after its return to the main line in 2008. Lord Nelson heads for Salisbury at Battledown Flyover in May 2007 with another Cathedrals Express. While this is the first steam on the Oxted branch in Surrey since the 1960s. 45407 at Woldingham on the 27th of October 2007. .61624 meanwhile continues to behave itself on the moors. This is Beck Hull in April 2005. And finally 460, another Mansell S15, 828 at Upton Scudamore in December 1997. There are no prizes for guessing what's in this section. It begins with LNER Q6 63395 at Green End, hauling a photo charter in November 2007. .45212 passes Mytholms with an Ingro to Oxenhope freight in February 2005. .42968 yet again, this time near Loughborough with the Windcutter rake in 2007. 1369 creeps out of the shrubbery on the Barham Road branch of the Middleton Railway in September 2003. Pitchford Hall with a Keighley to Oxenhope freight on the Worth Valley in February 2007. This working has an official time, the 0940. J15 65462 pays a visit to the moors in March 2008 and ends up hauling goods. This is Ghostland. A barking terrier, 662, pops in and pops out of its kennel at Dunster in October 2007. "49395 appears again, this time at Green End with wagons in tow, September 2006. As does Damon's Loop, appear again, that is, 5224, with a wondrous assortment in February 2004. Semi-standard tank 41241 shifts wagons through Oakworth in October 2006. While this little chap is known simply as Stagshaw. And if you guessed the Tanfield Railway, you'd be right. You saw number 29 earlier at Tanfield. Here it is again, looking very NCB-like, hauling a rake of coal hoppers bunker first. Another of those top and tail jobs. 65462 leading 61624 at Durham in March 2008. Crikey, a BT well tank, synonymous with Cornwall in the later years, but this one now performing on the West Somerset in its 3rd century. 30587 at Blue Anchor. And here it comes again at Bicknoller. The N7 gets to grips with wagons at Beck Hull in April 2007. Before 63601 brings this section into the yard with a working over the Great Central. Britain's first new Pacific locomotive for 52 years was unveiled at the special Covenanters Day at Darlington on the 3rd of August 2008, some 42 years after the A1 class became extinct when the last one was cut up in Hull. 60163 Tornado will touch the main line for the first time once the tests and trials are fully complete, and it's received something resembling the British Railways livery its forebears wore. After the unveiling, the new loco moved on to the Great Central, where it was due to remain for a month or two until made ready for its mainline debut. Back to the heritage. 6201 Princess Elizabeth crossing Burkitt Common on the S&C in 2008. And here at last is the other mainline merchant navy, or it was. 35005 Canadian Pacific at Upton Scudamore in March 1999. Shame about the colour. Another blue one. St Nigel Gresley is in its 3rd or 4th mainline incarnation now, but here does battle with the Moors at Greymont. Duchess of Sutherland gives the ancient architecture of Weybridge a good rattling with the Locomotive Exchange special of June 2008, en route to Yeovil. Tangmere at Hook again, and why not? This is from December 2007, hence more steam effects than clag. Flying Scotsman off-piste at Winchester with the VSOE in December 2003. Mainline restarts from a red signal at Woking in November 1997, one of only two Bulleids to go straight from British Railways to preservation societies. The other survivors had to rot for 20 odd years. The same set of coaches near Albury behind Union of South Africa. A Surrey luncheon charter from December 2007 and London Victoria. Further on in its journey to Yeovil, Duchess of Sutherland passes Stowell. Tor Valley as Ottery St Mary again, on this occasion with the Surrey Luncheon Circuit. Bittern has a crack at the S Valley line in 2008. And here's Bodmin again, approaching Honiton Tunnel during its programme of weekly excursions in the summer and autumn of 2000. The Duchess storms up the bank to Dainton Tunnel with a Plymouth-bound excursion in October 2002. Langmere shuns the Salisbury line at Battledown flyover and carries straight on to Winchester with another collection of carol singers. You'll recognise this immediately if you ever saw the original Lady Killers film. Copenhagen on the climb out of King's Cross with proper motive power in 1999. Princess Elizabeth tackles the Cornish banks in October 2002. The Duchess's trip to Yeovil in June 2008 was worked back to London by Bittern. The Passing of Andover. Meanwhile, Clan Line goes out to lunch again. The Surrey Christmas Luncheon Circular of December 2007. The Pacific's reached journey's end though with this stirring shot of Flying Scotsman at Milbourne Port in 1999. Scotland is our final destination, and we start with Black 5 45407 at Crawford in 2007. Closely followed by Princess Elizabeth soon after crossing the border at Gretna. The Curves of Beatock, approached by 8F 48151 in April 2007. Duchess of Sutherland works the Preston to Glasgow leg of the Marathon Great Britain Charter on day 4. Slightly more sedately, Caledonian 419 rounds the curve at Bowness. And somewhere or other will have passed D49 246. The Jacobite from Fort William to Mallaig is a regular in the Scottish steam calendar. Here's 45407 working the train at Glenfinnan in 2008. And 62005 near the same spot with a similar working. Meanwhile, back at the Great Britain, it's day 5, and 61994 and Union of South Africa have taken over for the Glasgow-Perth-Inverness leg. This is Downacharnock. While this was an optional trip onwards from Inverness to Carl of Loch Aush, 61994 passing Loch Locot. Day 6 officially was the Inverness to Thurso leg, worked by 48151, which you saw blasting northwards earlier. But the programme rounds off with day 8, as I'm sure we're all feeling tired just watching this. Union of South Africa piloting 61994 across Culloden Viaduct with stage 1 of the return en route to Perth. Before carrying on the clagging at Crubben Moor.